Let me tell you something no one wants to admit. When society crumbles, gold won't save you, silver won't save you, crypto? Forget it. The truth is, when the grid goes down and the world stops playing by the rules, no one's trading shiny metals for survival. They're hunting for what works, what keeps them alive. Here's the brutal reality. In a collapse, value flips. The smartest preppers out there, they're not hoarding gold bars or stacking cash. They're locking down the real survival currency, the stuff that keeps your body warm, your stomach full, and your mind sharp. You think a gold coin will get you a meal? Like, try bartering with someone who has a water filter when you don't. Most people think collapse is instant. Sirens, riots, chaos overnight. But that's not how it works. It's a slow unraveling. Comfort fades and desperation takes its place. The things you ignored yesterday, they'll be priceless tomorrow. This isn't just a list of gear. These are 7 products that'll outrank gold, cash, and crypto when the systems fail. We'll break down why they matter, how they'll save your skin, and why the people laughing now will be the ones begging later. Let's get into it. One more on steel wool, the fire starter no one thinks about. When the world goes dark and survival becomes the only game in town, fire isn't just a convenience, it's life itself. And steel wool, it's your secret weapon. Most people see steel wool as nothing more than a kitchen scrubber, a throwaway item for cleaning pots and pans. But for those who know better, it's a portable, reliable fire starter that works when everything else fails. Here's the deal. Fine-grade steel wool ignites almost instantly with just a spark. Pair it with a 9-volt battery, and you've got a fire starter that doesn't care if it's raining, snowing, or pitch black outside. No matches? No problem. No lighter fluid? Who cares? Steel wool doesn't need fancy gear or perfect conditions. It just works. But fire isn't the only reason steel wool is worth more than gold in a collapse. It's a multi-tool in disguise. Got rusted tools? Steel wool scrubs it off. Need to sharpen a dull blade in the field? Steel wool can help with that too. It's lightweight, compact, and ridiculously versatile. Everything you want in survival gear. Now let's talk about trade value. Imagine you're freezing, your matches are soaked, and you're down to your last chance to boil water or cook food. What's worth more in that moment, a shiny gold coin or a Ziploc bag of steel wool? Exactly. And once word gets out that you can make fire on demand, people will trade food, shelter, and even protection for a piece of that magic. Here's my take. I don't just stock steel wool. I vacuum seal rolls of it, fine grade only, because that's what ignites the best. I test every batch before it goes into storage, and I carry it everywhere, in my go bag, my truck, even my jacket pocket. Why? Because when the grid goes down and the world turns cold, fire equals survival. So, let me ask you, do you have steel wool in your kit? Have you tested it in the rain, in the dark, or when your hands are shaking from stress? Because in a real collapse, you won't get a second chance to get that fire going, and the person who can't make fire, they're just another liability waiting to happen. The 2 Tampons, the survival tool you're overlooking. Tampons, yeah, you heard me right. Most people think they're just for menstruation, but in a survival scenario, they are one of the most versatile and valuable items you can carry. If you're rolling your eyes right now, let me break it down for you. First off, tampons are sterile, compact, and made of highly absorbent cotton. That makes them a lifesaver, literally, when it comes to medical emergencies. In a grid down situation, you won't have access to clean, packaged wound dressings or trauma kits unless you prepped like a pro. But a tampon? It can act as an emergency wound pack, slowing or even stopping bleeding from deep cuts, stabs, or punctures. It's not a permanent fix, but it buys you time you might not otherwise have. But the usefulness doesn't stop there. Tampons are also excellent fire starters. The cotton ignites quickly and burns hot, making it perfect for getting a fire going when you're under pressure or dealing with damp conditions. Pair it with a spark or a flame and you've got yourself a reliable ignition source. But here's another thing most people don't think about: water filtration. While a tampon won't purify water, it can pre-filter dirty water, removing visible debris and extending the life of your main filtration system. It's not perfect, but in a pinch, it's better than nothing. Need more? Tampons can also serve as nasal plugs for nosebleeds or smoke exposure, and yes, they still fulfill their original purpose. That last point alone gives them massive barter value in a collapse. Hygiene needs don't disappear when society falls apart. In fact, they become even more critical. Someone dealing with discomfort, embarrassment, or panic over hygiene issues will trade almost anything for a simple solution. Here's my take. I stock tampons in every major kit I own. They're lightweight, sealed, and take up virtually no space. I've even used one during a training drill when someone got a nasty blade cut. Packed it, sealed it, and it worked until we got proper medical care. So think about it. Are you stocked up? Do you know how to use a tampon for more than its intended purpose? Because when the world goes sideways and people are bleeding, desperate, or just trying to stay clean, gold won't mean a damn thing. But the person with real solutions, they'll be the one calling the shots. 3 snap traps, the silent survival tool. When people think about survival gear, they go big, rifles, generators, bunkers. But they overlook the small, quiet tools that keep you alive day to day. Snap traps, the kind you use to catch mice, are one of those tools. Cheap, lightweight, and incredibly effective, they're worth their weight in gold when the world starts falling apart. Let's start with the obvious: pest control. In a long-term collapse, your food storage will attract rodents. And if you think you just handle it when the time comes, you're already behind. A single rat infestation can wipe out your food supply, contaminate your shelter, and spread disease. Snap traps keep things clean, quiet, and under control without the mess or risk of poison. But here's where it gets interesting. Snap traps are more than just pest control. They're versatile mechanical devices that can be adapted for other uses. Need a perimeter alarm? Rig a trip line to a snap trap and you've got a loud, unmistakable alert system. It's silent when idle, instant when triggered, and impossible to miss in the dead of night. What about food? With a little bait and some light rigging, snap traps can be used to catch small game like birds or squirrels. Just passive hunting, you set the trap, walk away, and come back to a meal. That's survival efficiency at its finest. And then there's the barter value. Most people don't think to stock snap traps, which makes them incredibly valuable in a collapse. Show up with a pack of brand new traps when someone's camp is overrun by rats, and they'll trade you tools, food, even medicine just to reclaim their space. Here's my take. I store snap traps in every long-term supply bin I have. I vacuum seal packs of 5, complete with string and bait, and I always carry a couple in my go bag. Why? Because when you're sleeping in unknown terrain, a few traps on the perimeter are better than nothing. They're quiet, effective, and most importantly, underestimated. So let me ask you, do you even have a single trap in your supplies? Have you ever set one in the field? Because if you're not catching, alerting, or bartering, you're just waiting. And waiting doesn't cut it when the world starts to fall apart. 4, battery-powered aquarium air pump, the water saver you didn't know you needed. An aquarium air pump? Seriously? It might sound ridiculous at first, but hear me out. This little gadget could be the difference between life and death when the grid goes down. Water is one of the most critical resources in a collapse, but it's also one of the most fragile. Storing water is easy. Keeping it safe to drink, that's the real challenge. Picture this. You've got barrels or containers filled with water sitting stagnant for weeks or months. What happens next? Bacteria start to grow. Algae takes over. That once clean water turns into a breeding ground for sickness. And trust me, the last thing you want in a survival scenario is to be doubled over with stomach cramps because your emergency water stash went bad. This is where the battery-powered aquarium air pump comes in. Originally designed to keep fish alive during power outages, it's a game changer for preppers who know how to think outside the box. Drop the pump into your water barrel for a few minutes a day, and it oxygenates the water, keeping it moving and discouraging bacteria and algae growth. It doesn't purify the water, but it slows down spoilage, giving you more time to use it safely. But that's just the beginning. You're growing food off grill using hydroponics. This pump becomes even more valuable. It helps circulate water in your DIY setup, ensuring your plants get the nutrients they need while preventing root rot. And in a pinch, you can rig it for low-pressure ventilation in sealed spaces or use it to provide airflow in improvised setups. The best part? It runs on batteries, so you're not dependent on solar panels or fuel. It's lightweight, quiet, and easy to store, making it a perfect addition to any survival kit. And because most people don't think to stock up on something like this, it's a killer barter item. Imagine trading one of these to someone whose water stash has gone bad. That's not just a trade, that's leverage. Here's my take. I keep multiple battery-powered air pumps in my supplies. along with backup batteries. I test them regularly and have tubing pre-attached so I can deploy them instantly. They're cheap, effective, and could save your life or someone else's when clean water becomes more valuable than gold. So let me ask you, are you just storing water or are you protecting it? Because when the taps run dry and the bottled water is gone, keeping your stash drinkable will matter more than anything else. And no amount of gold will make contaminated water safe to drink. But this $20 0 cents tool, it just might. 5. Graphite lubricant, the silent operator's secret weapon. When the world falls apart, every move you make matters. Every door you open, every tool you use, every weapon you handle. It all needs to work flawlessly. And that's why graphite lubricant, not oil, is one of the smartest survival tools you can carry. Most people think of lubricant and immediately reach for oil-based products like WD-40 or gun oil. But here's the problem. In a survival scenario, oil becomes a liability. It attracts dust, turns sticky in extreme temperatures, and can even gum up your gear over time. The last thing you need in a high-stakes situation is a jammed lock or a stuck trigger because your lubricant failed you. Graphite, on the other hand, is a dry lubricant. It's odorless, temperature-resistant, and doesn't attract dirt or debris. That makes it perfect for survival situations where stealth and reliability are non-negotiable. Need to silently open a rusty gate or a creaky door? Graphite gets the job done without making a sound. In a world where noise can mean the difference between life and death, that kind of silence is priceless. But the benefits don't stop there. Graphite is ideal for maintaining locks, hinges, zippers, and firearms. It keeps everything moving smoothly without the mess or complications of oil-based products. And in dirty, dusty environments, like the kind you'll face in a collapse, graphite outperforms oil every time. It doesn't trap grit or sand, so your gear stays functional even in the worst conditions. Now, let's talk about trade value. In a barter economy where people are desperate to keep their tools, weapons, and shelters in working order, graphite becomes a high-demand item. You're not just offering maintenance, you're offering stealth, precision, and control. Show up with a tube of graphite when someone's struggling with a jammed lock or a stuck mechanism, and you'll have them trading food, medicine, or whatever else you need. Here's my take. I carry a small tube of graphite lubricant in every bag I own. It's lightweight, lasts forever, and has saved my skin more times than I can count. I've used it to silently open a fence gate without alerting stray dogs, fix a stuck rain barrel hatch, and even help a stranger unlock a rusted bike chain. That last one earned me extra rations in a trade, all because I had what they didn't. So let me ask you, are you prepared for movement? Not just running or escaping, but moving quietly and efficiently when it matters most. Because in a world where collapse rewards the quiet and punishes the loud, graphite might just be the most valuable thing you own. And the best part, no one sees it coming. 6 mosquito nets, the silent shield against the smallest killers. When people think about survival, they picture big threats, riders, food shortages, or the collapse of the power grid. But the truth is, the smallest threats are often the deadliest. Enter the mosquito net, a survival tool that most people overlook, but will quickly realize is worth more than gold when the world goes dark. Here's the reality. In a collapse, you're not sleeping in your cozy bed. You're sleeping in makeshift shelters, vehicles, or out in the open, and when you do, you're exposed to swarms of biting insects. In warm or humid climates, mosquitoes and other bugs become relentless. One night of bites isn't just annoying, it's dangerous. Those bites can lead to infections, allergic reactions, or worse, diseases like malaria, dengue, or West Nile virus. Think about it. You're already dealing with stress, exhaustion, and limited resources. Now add 30 mosquito bites to your legs, an open scratch that gets infected, and a fever that knocks you out of commission. Suddenly, you're not just uncomfortable, you're a liability. And in survival, liabilities don't last long. A mosquito net changes the game. It's lightweight, compact, and completely passive. You don't need chemicals, electricity, or fancy gadgets. You just hang it up, zip it closed, and sleep without the constant buzzing and biting that keeps everyone else awake. And let's be clear, sleep isn't a luxury in a collapse. It's a necessity. Without it, your decision-making suffers, your energy plummets, and your chances of survival drop. But the benefits don't stop there. In a group setting, a mosquito net provides more than just protection. It offers privacy and a sense of control. When everything else feels chaotic, having a small, safe space to rest can do wonders for morale. And let's not forget its trade value. Imagine pulling out a brand new mosquito net in a camp where people have been scratching themselves raw for days. That's not just a trade item, that's power. Here's my setup. I keep 2 mosquito nets in my long-term kits, one for personal use and one for barter. Both are sealed and tested. I've used them during field training and camping trips, and I've seen firsthand how much people are willing to trade for a single night of bug-free sleep. So let me ask you, are you prepared for the smallest threats? Because when the grid goes down and the bugs come out, the person with the net isn't just surviving, they're thriving. And in a world where infection is one bite away, that's the kind of edge you can't afford to ignore. 7, high-quality insoles, the unsung hero of survival. When the world collapses, your feet become your most important asset. Forget cars, bikes, or public transport. When the roads are rubble and the fuel is gone, you'll be walking a lot. And yet, most preppers completely overlook one critical detail: what happens when your feet give out. This is where high-quality insoles come in. They're not flashy, they're not high-tech, but they're absolutely essential. Think about it. In a collapse, you're walking to find water, food, or shelter. You're patrolling your perimeter, relocating your camp, or bugging out to a safer location. That's miles and miles on rough terrain, often while carrying heavy gear. And if your feet fail, your entire survival plan falls apart. Blisters, arch pain, shin splints, and back strain might not sound like life-threatening issues, but they add up fast. They slow you down, sap your energy, and make you vulnerable. A solid pair of insoles with proper arch support and shock absorption can make all the difference. They extend the life of your boots, reduce the strain on your legs, and keep you moving when every step counts. But it's not just about physical comfort, it's about mental resilience. When your body is breaking down, small comforts can be a huge morale boost. Sliding a pair of cushioned, supportive insoles into your boots after weeks of hard travel, that's like giving your feet a second wind. It keeps you in the fight both physically and mentally. And then there's the barter value. In a survival scenario, mobility is everything. Show up with a pair of high-end, sealed-in insoles in a camp where people are limping from overuse, and you've got a trade item that's worth its weight in gold. People will give up food, tools, or even medicine just to walk without pain. Here's my setup. I keep 3 pairs of insoles in my supply. One is already in my bug-out boots, one is in my go bag as a spare, and the third is in reserve storage. All are pre-fitted and tested because I know that if my feet fail, I lose my mobility. And if I lose my mobility, I lose my advantage. So let me ask you, are you treating your feet like the engines they are? Or are you assuming your factory insoles will hold up under the pressure of a collapse? Because when the roads are gone and every step matters, your survival depends on your ability to keep moving. And a $20 or 0 cents pair of insoles might just be the difference between life and death.